Welcome to another edition of TM3Impact. I have Mark Saroni here. He is the founder and head coach at Paragon Training. Mark, I'm so pumped to have you at TM3Impact, buddy.
Thanks. Yeah. Excited to be here.
Yes. Well, let's just dive right in. So here, we're going to start off. You don't know the questions because
Okay,
we're just going
that's
to have a conversation and have some fun. We were already started that just a little while ago. But first up, I need to know your San Antonio journey. Like, how did you come to live in this amazing city?
Yeah. I think I grew up mostly in Texas. I was born overseas because my dad was military, but my mom's from Austin, went to UT Austin. My dad went to grad school there. So I have a lot of family in Austin. And we moved to Dallas when I was 4. So, I've been in Texas most of my life. I consider myself a Texan. Doesn't count if you're born overseas, right? We got back right away.
Yeah, it counts.
So, yeah, I mean, I'm sure we visited as a kid, but I really remember the first time coming here was I was 18. I just graduated high school, was training for triathlon and, wanted to get better like we all do. And had looked and there was a junior select camp here in San Antonio.
And you were in Dallas at the time.
I was in Dallas. So I just, pretty much anyone can sign up, I think, at the time. So I signed up for the camp and drove myself down. I remember, I think it started on a Monday night. So I remember hopping on 1604 at like 5 o'clock on Monday. It was pouring rain. I'm in this little Toyota Echo with my bike in it somehow. And I was just like, this is terrible. It's taking me so long to get to UTSA.
Yes.
But yeah, so did the camp that year and then started working with the camp director as my coach. And so the next year I came back, attended the camp again, and then she had a second camp for younger kids. So I stayed an extra week and helped out with that. And then the next year I came back for 2 months and I just lived here all summer. And
what year was that? The first time you came?
So first time was 2007.
2007. Okay.
Yeah. And then just even all through college, every summer I'd come live down here and we had a little group and we'd train and just train way too hard. Yeah. But it was a blast. Like I loved it. And then eventually moved down here in 2011 after college.
Got it. Okay. Yeah. So where did you go to school? Did you go to school up in Dallas?
I went to UT Tyler.
I know UT Tyler.
East Texas. We say behind the pine curtain.
Yeah.
East Texas.
it's funny. I didn't know that.
Yeah. It's only 90 minutes from Dallas, but it is a different world out in East Texas.
And it looks different. Like it changes radically over there. Yeah. That's cool. Okay, so let's go back. Okay, so I'm sitting here going, okay, you have Paragon Training, which is you basically train people from Ironman to any basically running, swimming, biking, right?
I mean, I say endurance. I'm an endurance coach,
okay?
Right? Because the physiology of sport, if you're racing longer than 2 minutes, it's largely similar. We're dealing with the same sort of energy systems. So, to understand energy systems, you can apply that across, obviously biomechanics and things like that are a little different across disciplines, but yeah, endurance coach. And that's kind of how I look at it, as coaching in endurance sports.
I love it. But we got to go back though. So tell me, because I think I asked you this the last time you were here, how in the world did you even get into this from an early age? Because it sounded like you started riding at an early age, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, 12.
Biking.
12 years old was my first triathlon.
Time out. Did your dad do triathlons?
Anybody? He not at the time. He actually had back in the 80s in Austin.
Okay.
Back when you could kind of just change clothes in transition area. There no change tents. You just, oh my God. Did whatever.
It's like a Wild Wild West.
Yeah. No, I mean, I grew up playing soccer. That was kind of my main sport, actually.
Okay.
I played for 11 years and was fairly competitive. But after my dad's Air Force and after 9/11, he was stationed in St. Louis. And we stayed in Dallas, but we went up that summer and lived with them. So we needed, as kids, we needed something to do. So they put us on the summer swim team. And that same Air Force base had a kids triathlon. And longest 6-mile bike ride of my life. But
your first one, what's the longest distance you had been till then?
We rode around some as kids. Maybe had done a couple family bike rides, but not train. We were borrowing mountain bikes. We didn't have our bikes up there or anything. And I remember I was 12 and there was a 10-year-old who had one of those fancy bikes with the skinny tires and the curved handlebars. And I could not catch this 10-year-old. Knowing what I know now about rolling resistance and aerodynamics, it's like, no wonder I on my mountain bike.
You were not going to catch him.
It was just driving me nuts. And I think it was 200 swim, 6-mile bike, 2-mile run. And I mean, I remember finishing going, I want to do more of these at 12 years old. Like that
12.
was the thought. That was the thought in my mind. And I just went back home and started looking for races online. It was definitely all me. I mean, my parents were super supported, but I was the one looking at races online. I was the one, trying to figure out training and basically just, started looking for races and doing some training. And, I didn't know what I was doing, but of course. I just fell in love with it.
Yeah. Now, which sport is out of the three, right? Out of the bike, swim, and run, which one is the one you love the most?
I would say love. I probably will always go back to running.
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 Interesting.
It's the simplest to do for one thing.
Yeah.
Right. You can go anywhere in the world. If you got a pair of shoes, you can go run.
Yeah.
I do love riding my bike. I think the time that kind of varies.
Yeah.
Running.
Swimming?
Definitely.
Is it least of the? It sounds like swimming is the least of the three.
Yeah, I mean, it's not that I dislike swimming. I just like running more.
Yeah, it makes sense. That makes sense.
Yeah.
So your first triathlon at 12, and then did that just start? Like, how many did you do between 12 and 18? Because it sounds like that was just your thing.
Yeah, probably quite a few. I would guess, the next year I did 1 or 2, and then it kind of ramped up where at some point I was racing 8 to 12 races a year.
Oh, wow.
Probably, mostly sprint distance in the area. And I remember when I was 15 is when I stopped playing soccer. And it was because I'd gotten to the point where I was trying to race or do a soccer tournament on the weekend on Saturday.
Okay.
And then race a triathlon on Sunday. And I was just, the game gets more physical as you get older. And I got to pick, I'm covered in scrapes and bruises.
Yeah.
So I just switched over to all triathlon.
That's cool.
At 15.
Winning races, like how did you do in terms of winning?
I was definitely high up in my usually winning age group often.
Yeah.
There were less kids back then. I remember the first time I won. I think I won. It was on my 17th birthday. I won, a local sprint overall, and I was excited telling some friends about it. And this is why family's good because my sister, who is 8 years younger than me, so she's 10 or 9 or something like that. And she was just totally nonplussed. She was like, "No, Mark, they don't care that you won your age group." And I was like, "No, I won the race overall.
Right.
Thank you very much, little sister." It's just like not impressed at all.
That's hysterical.
Like, what do I do? I have to get some credit in this family.
That's funny. Is she into sports at all?
No, not really. I mean, I'm really the only one that my dad started doing some with me.
Okay.
He would drive me to the races, and then he's been doing a few more.
Oh, recently?
Yeah. I mean,
how old is your dad?
He'll be 60 this year.
That's awesome.
So he'll do a few little sprints.
Shout out to dad there. That's right. Pretty cool.
Yeah.
Which one does he like? Biking, swimming, or running?
He likes running, but he keeps getting little injuries, little hamstring niggles and stuff like that. He swam as a kid growing up.
Okay.
And it's funny. I didn't even realize till I started coaching and working with other adults, who most adults, when they start swimming is the struggle.
Yep.
Right. And I'd never thought about the fact, my dad would go do Captex, which is the sprint. Oh, yeah. The sprint's a half-mile swim, right?
Yeah.
He wouldn't have swam for 20 years, and he would just jump in and swim a half mile at, sub 2-minute hundreds, no problem.
Wow.
Which I didn't even realize that was a big deal until, now when I work with adults and we train 3 days a week just to try to be able to finish, and realizing, man, having that swim base as a kid, he doesn't even have to think about it.
It's just natural.
It's just natural.
Yep.
Yeah.
I have a buddy like that. Matt Seedorf. Shout out to Matt Seedorf. He did Whistler. He did. Okay. That was his first one.
That's cool.
And he's doing Houston this coming up in April, hopefully.
Right on.
Fingers crossed.
Yeah, fingers crossed.
So now, so you make the transition, and now you're coaching. And so obviously, I mean, I would imagine you meet guys like Tomas Martinez that say, "Mark, I need you to watch me swim, and just can you give me some pointers?" Because my journey in 2019 is when you and I first met.
Yep.
In December. And I remember this vividly, just getting in the pool, and you're like, "Okay, let me watch you swim." And I swam one length of the pool, and just about, my heart is at like 158, pounding. I don't know what the heck is going on. And you're like, "Okay, no, you got to swim back." And so I try to swim back. I get to the other side and I'm just looking at you and you're like, okay, there's a few things we need to work on, so let's take this. So as you look at all the athletes that you've worked with, like, what are the things that you tell people that are on this journey, the triathlon journey, in the very beginning? Because somebody might be hearing this and they're thinking endurance, they're not, Ironman is like not even in the picture, but they're thinking, man, I want to do something a little bit more. How do they begin that process?
I think it's a little different for everyone. And I think it has to be, there's a saying that for everything you want to do or accomplish, you'll find a way. For everything you don't, you'll find an excuse. So I think to some extent, I've seen a lot of people that probably one of my favorite success stories is I had a lady that I was teaching her to swim in December. We're literally blowing bubbles. I remember the first lesson I said, okay, put your face in and blow your bubbles. And she looked at me and said, you want me to put my face inside the water? Yeah. And I said, yep, we gotta put our face. Yeah. And 6 months later, she did Ironman Boulder, and
that's incredible.
Swimming 2.4 miles, right? And with her, kind of, I think one thing I saw is that she never got too caught up in the, oh, I'm not progressing or I'm not good enough or this or that. She just kind of, okay, today this coach said I need to blow bubbles, right? Yeah. And really kind of didn't think too far ahead, just kind of focused on the day-to-day. With her, one thing I do tell people is, definitely if you're starting from scratch, a few lessons can help a lot because we can accelerate that learning curve. When I learned to snowboard a couple years ago, the first thing I did is before I go out, I'm going to take a lesson. Yeah. Because I know what I can do for someone when they start out swimming and how much faster they will progress. Yeah. Most people I do lessons with, it's 2 to 4 lessons, and then they're on their own training, Yep. So I think if you get those basic skills, then you just have to be conscious about your training and just kind of slowly apply yourself. It doesn't happen overnight. Consistency is a big buzzword and things like that, but really it does come down to, progression in sport is kind of like the stock market. Maybe not the last 10 years, but where it's kind of up and down and up and down and up and down. And then you look back over 2 years and you go, oh, I am a lot better than I was 2 years ago. So, have those big goals or something that pushes you, but on the day-to-day, don't overthink it.
That's a good point.
Yeah. Just get out there and do it and be consistent with your training at whatever level you can, whether that's 6 hours a week or 12 hours a week, it doesn't really matter. Just that frequency is important.
Yeah. And I would imagine you probably have seen like the extreme from the guy that's, he's done like he's done a few iron, endurance sports. He's knocked out a few notches on the belt, but he still wants to get better. You know what I mean? And so you've seen that full spectrum. What's the different conversation when you're having someone that has an athletic background that has had some success? What are those conversations like with some of those athletes?
Yeah, I like to say you're never too slow to want to get faster.
I like that.
The thing I hate most is people that have there's a lot of people that have done a lot of races and they're like, oh, well, I'm not fast. And okay, but you can still want to get faster.
Yeah. That's a good point.
Yeah. I think just improving at whatever level that is always feels good. Yeah. I've been doing this 15 years and I still want to get faster. That doesn't come very easily. Yeah. It's not, there's only certain areas I can improve in, but I still want to. Yeah. I think for a lot of people, it's definitely, kind of what you see a lot with what we, age group athletes, which is all of us essentially, is, too easy on the hard days, too hard on the easy days, and most people want to go out and get a good workout in, which is good. If you do want to get faster, you have to learn how to kind of suffer on the days you need to suffer. Yeah. The bike and the swim, especially, it's a little harder to get injured on those. On the run, we got to be careful with loading the muscles, tendons, things like that. But learning to, most people that either follow a training plan or I coach, all of a sudden their bike workouts are like, my legs are on fire, because they've never done 4-minute intervals before. They can go ride 30 miles and they feel good. And I got a good workout, but I look at a heart rate file. I'm like, you were in zone 2, 3 all the time, which is fine. But if we want to boost your top end, you're going to have to suffer a little bit. But on the same token, then a lot of times they'll say, oh, that run today, it was too slow. It felt too easy. Yeah. Say, that's how it should feel a lot of times, so most people kind of train in this gray middle zone. And I think, I usually early in the season will get dropped on rides with guys because I'm not ready to go that hard, strong, push it up the hill pace yet, you know. But then come October or September or whatever, I'll be going fairly fast. So I think with most people that if they've been in the sport a while and they do want to get better, you got to takes a little more effort, right? From the mental, the planning side, right? It's not going to happen. If you go from doing nothing to doing something, you'll improve.
Yep.
If you're already doing something, you need to do that better. So you got to take that 8-hour a week budget or 10-hour a week or 12-hour a week training budget, whatever it is.
Yeah.
And how can we make that training more specific, more detail oriented? Most of my athletes that are training on kind of, I would say like 8 to 12 is a sort of typical what people can handle.
And clarify that. That's 8 to 12 hours a week.
Yeah. And that's probably during like a build towards a half Ironman. Maybe an Ironman, you might get a little over that. Most people, during most of the year, we're probably staying 6 to 10. And then, when you start riding long on weekends, it naturally goes up. But most of their sessions have quite a bit of specificity.
Yes.
It's not just, hey, get in and swim for an hour. Right. There's an intensity portion. There's a warm up portion. There's a drill portion. So just being very intentional with your training, and then not afraid to suffer when you're supposed to suffer, and then go slow when you're supposed to go
it's
slow.
time. Yeah.
Enjoy those days. I mean,
the one thing I look forward to when I see a recovery week on my schedule, it's like, oh, this is awesome. I get to recover.
Yeah.
I love those weeks.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, you've earned it.
You've earned it.
So enjoy it. Enjoy the coffee ride or the shuffle run or whatever it is.
Yes.
That's
But the big thing about endurance sports, so I mean, obviously, somebody that's listening to this, they may be thinking, I'm never going to run a marathon. I'm never going to run a half marathon. I don't want to do any of that. But the idea is that our bodies are built to move. And people that you've seen that you thought, I don't know if they're going to make the commitment to actually run that half or run that full or do the Ironman, what have you. Because there's a mental aspect to this that, it's huge. That mental aspect is so big. Yeah. How do you help people with the mental side of this journey? No matter if they're just trying to run their first 10K or the half or full or whatever.
Yeah. I think the mental roadblock is different for everyone, right? So with some people, maybe the overachievers or type A, the mental block is kind of pushing too much, always being afraid to miss a session, kind of going too hard, that kind of thing. So with that sort of athlete, we're trying to teach, hey, take it a little more laid back. If you had a crazy day at work, it might be okay to pull the plug or shorten a session. Don't beat yourself up, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
Other people sometimes miss more than they think, and you look and you say, hey, Training Peaks is nice because you got that red, green color code, right? Yes. So we can kind of look and say, ultimately, most of the athletes I work with, they're adults, right? So, the high school team I coach, maybe that's a little different. I can to get on them a little bit more, With the adults, it's typically more, I try to give gentle reminders and things like that. But I also understand their schedules are full. And, they might have crazy things with kids and things like that. But I think a lot of times it comes down to helping them, even just having a coach also makes them more aware of, I hadn't realized that I used to take a whole 3 weeks off around Christmas, right? And it's not that I'm giving them 14 hours of training a week during Christmas, but a lot of times I'll say, hey, every other day we're trying to get 30 minutes in, and they'll say, hey, I know I was less consistent this year, but looking back, I was actually way more consistent this year than years previous. Yeah. Well, that's a good thing. Yeah. It definitely planning is essential. You gotta plan ahead, with your days, with your time. I really enjoy getting to see, I learn a lot from the adults I work with, because all of them are, kind of high achieving professionals with kids and families and things like that. And yeah, I'm like most of my athletes, I'm like, I want to be like them.
Yeah.
When I grew up, you know, it's pretty impressive how they are able to manage their lives and fit it in. And then, you know, we try to do, if people want to do things in groups, because I think there's a lot of power in training with others. It makes it more fun.
Yeah, you know, you did tell me that in the very beginning with the swim, and I wish I would have taken you up on that. But I think there was like this, almost like this, I just got to go figure this out. Almost, you know what I mean? Yeah. Like I felt a little like I'm not going to be able to swim as fast as everybody in the group. Sure. You know what I mean? But I definitely feel like those two coaching sessions that we had were game changers, because it set a trajectory for me to swim to where I'm at now. You know, we did a half marathon this morning, and I was like, well, I said, I'm just going to go get in the water, and I swam for 30 minutes straight. Yeah. I would have never, like, without that initial and then kind of the road that I've been on, there's no way I would be where I'm at. So I appreciate that coaching session, man. That was huge, you know, huge. And so tell me, like, what's your oldest athlete? What's the age of your oldest athlete? That's
right now, 60.
60.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
She's doing a 50K next weekend.
Run? Ultra?
Yeah, an ultra.
Oh my gosh. Shout out. What's her name? Shout her out.
April Smith.
That's so cool.
A business owner, and she's a go-getter.
That's
I'm like, cool. Man, I hope I'm like that when I'm
No, dude. That's like Ed. Shout out to Ed, my running partner, that my buddy that's always with me. That's our deal. It's like we want to be 80 and 90, and we want to still be running on Salado, Salado Trail. You know what I mean? That's our deal. Yeah. You know what I mean? How do we get there? Tell us. You know, how do we get there?
Well, I'm figuring that out. Yeah. I'm only 31. So
you're 31? Well, what do you think that best plan is for people that want to do that to 90? What do you think that is?
I think, kind of back to what we were just talking about a second ago, I mean, ultimately you have to enjoy it.
Yeah, it's true.
Right? I mean, you really do have to enjoy sport in some sense. Yeah. You know, and that was the 12-year-old me that fell in love with it. Kilian Jornet, I don't know if you know who he is, the greatest probably ultra endurance athlete in the world.
Say his name again.
Kilian Jornet.
Okay.
He's ultra marathoner, schemo, has crazy videos running ridges. And he has this quote, that he says, you know, if you do not love suffering, you can train a week, a month, maybe a year, but you will not train a lifetime. Oh, you know, and so I think there has to be an element of you have to enjoy training, you know, and that's where for me over the years, I've been in the sport 18, 19 years now. Mm-hmm. I run trails. I ride my mountain bike. You know, I don't just stare at Zwift all the time. I use Zwift. I use the trainer, right? But I want to do this another 60 years, you know? And so running with people is part of that, doing some different events, you know, finding new ways to kind of explore and experiment while still, you know, trying to get faster and kind of have a performance mindset. Right. But I think, you need to enjoy being outside. You need to enjoy going hard sometimes, going easy sometimes.
That's big.
That's the key.
Now, you have a big plan for this year. You're trying to run Big Ben.
I just did.
Did you do that
10 days ago?
Did you just do that thing that you were talking about?
Yeah, the 50K. Yeah.
No way.
Yep.
Tell us about that. I remember you said you were going to do it at the beginning of the year.
Yeah.
I thought you were going to train for it.
No, that was the whole point. Was not training too much.
Oh my gosh! So talk about that. Okay, Big Ben. You did a 50K through Big Ben.
It's the Outer Mountain Loop.
Okay.
Which is kind of not famous, but it's the kind of challenging. I backpacked the loop actually last year with some friends.
Okay. How was that experience backpacking it? I'm sure that's still pretty strenuous.
It was hard.
Yeah.
I had just been sick too, so that might have skewed it a little bit, but it was a hard backpacking trip. Okay. For sure.
Okay.
But yeah, I think, you know, what actually did it, and this is what I love working with athletes again, is I have, you know, this group of ladies running a 50K next weekend. Yeah. So back in December, we were starting to do a few was trying to get them outside their comfort zone. We went up to Bandera and just did a run out there. Yeah. And I wanted them to run 2.5 to 3 hours. And so I ran the 3 hours with them, which, you know, obviously I'm a little bit faster. So the pace for me was slower, but I don't run 3 hours that often. Right. That's a long time to run. And I finished and I was like, I just ran 3 hours. Like, that's pretty far. Yeah. but I felt okay. I've been eating, I've been drinking. The intensity was low.
Okay.
And, I'm training for a marathon, fingers crossed, in April.
Which one?
In Oregon, Eugene Marathon.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
And so that's kind of like the big running goal I had.
Okay.
But
you've done marathons before.
I've raced one marathon when I was 16.
You're kidding. And then of course, Ironman.
Yeah. Right.
But outside of Ironman, you've only done one.
16 years old. Yeah. So my marathon PR is 4 hours, 2 minutes. My wife has a faster marathon
You're
PR
going to
than me.
destroy that time. You're going to destroy
I don't
that
get
time.
big time drops in races very much. So this one, I'm very hopeful.
You're going to destroy 402. You're going to destroy that.
Yeah.
What's your goal for that marathon?
I'd like to run the 2:30s.
2:30?
Yeah, sub 6 minute pace.
Well, that'll qualify for Boston. Would you want to do Boston?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay, that's killer. Is that a qualifier? Is Oregon a qualifier?
Yeah, I think you have to run under 3 hours to qualify.
That's sweet.
So,
well, you'll crush it. Okay, so back to Big Bend. You backpack it, and then you have the crazy idea. Say, I should probably run this.
Well, so the story on the backpacker is that on day 2, where it's this long day, we're in this kind of plane, but you're rolling up and down, and the sun's hot, and so we're taking a break, and these 2 girls pop over this ridge, and I look at them, and they're not wearing a big backpack. They've got like a little vest on, and with a walkie-talkie and water and some gels, and this trail is pretty remote. There's a start point, and then there's one access point where you can have like a water drop, but there's nowhere else to get on this 31-mile loop.
Oh my God.
So I look at them and I'm like, are you going, they go, hey guys. And they just look super fresh, and I go, are you girls running the loop? They're like, yeah. Like my buddy and I look at each other like, whoa, that's pretty hardcore.
Yeah.
And
that's
so,
impressive.
This year with having some athletes training for a 50K and doing some of these adventure runs, and then kind of in the back of my mind, all right, Eugene, Oregon's, not the greatest spot right now. So it could get shut down. I kind of wanted to see, could I go do this 50K without really training for it? Mm-hmm. Basically my goal is still training for a marathon to run really fast.
Right.
But just kind of have this fun outdoor adventure day. That's a challenge,
right?
But actually use it not to train for it specifically, but to actually use it to help my marathon training.
And so is it literally go one big circle?
It's a
come back point to point?
Yep, pretty much.
Wow.
Yeah, 7,000 feet of climbing in 31 miles. It was a lot. Yeah, I actually looked it up. It's more feet per climbing per mile than Western States 100.
What in the world? 7,000 feet.
I didn't know before if it was 3,000 or 7,000. I couldn't figure it out. And
that's
impressive.
It was 7. Yeah, that's impressive. Well, they're about to do an ultra in September at Eisenhower Park this year coming up.
Okay.
That one's 55, I think, 56. I'm trying to talk some guys into doing it.
How far is is it
31?
50K?
Yeah, it's a 50K.
Okay.
I'm trying to talk some buddies into doing it. As
That's
soon as I
probably a lot
showed
of
them the
loops.
elevation, it's 5 loops.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
5 loops. Okay, so back. So you see these runners and you're like, oh man. You get the idea.
They kind of planted the seed.
You play it
yeah,
right.
that it was possible.
What is the logistics of this? There's got to be some serious logistics.
And that's kind of what I'm a little bit of a planner. I like kind of that part of it.
Okay.
I enjoy planning trips. I enjoy kind of logistic type stuff.
Okay.
And so I enjoy events that involve maybe some logistics because that's part of an Ironman, for instance. There's a lot of little pieces, and it definitely favors people that can not just kind of fly by the seat of their pants, but plan it out. So for this, the main logistics were water. Yeah. Right. There's one point you can drop water.
Okay. What mile marker in that? Is it right in the middle?
It's at 22.
Mile marker.
It's at 22.
Oh my God.
But
so you had to get 22 miles in to get your water.
But
your second load.
I didn't want to take water because there's a website called Fastest Known Time, FKT, and it's kind of this is a 50K FKT. FKTs are usually reserved for the Appalachian Trail.
Okay,
you start at this point, and then 4 days later, what's the fastest time from here to there? The Pacific Crest, but they have them for shorter loops. So this was an FKT. So part of the goal is also to take the FKT, and they have different categories for that. One of them being you can be unsupported, which means you carry everything you need. Oh. You can be self-supported, which means someone meets you or you drop water.
But that changes the time and everything, right?
Yeah.
You get in a different category.
Yeah, exactly.
Right, okay.
So unsupported is the is the, I guess, hardest.
That's the
category,
one you were going for?
Which if you're doing the Appalachian Trail, you can't really be unsupported, right? You can't do that in a day or whatever. So, I wanted to do the unsupported. So I had my wife was there. So she was at mile 22 kind of as a just in case.
Okay.
So
you had all your water on you.
Yeah. So I did a couple test runs. We have the local power lines route. I'd done a few days where I did a triple power lines to kind of test how much water did I need to carry. Definitely caloric consumption was huge. I was trying to eat about 400 calories an hour, which is quite a bit.
What were you eating to get 400 calories?
I would have
the gels. The gels are only 100.
Yeah, I don't like doing a ton of sugar.
When
the intensity is lower like that. So I would do 2 Honey Stinger waffles and 1 Honey Stinger gel per hour. I have a timer every 20 minutes.
I need to try those waffles. I've never tried them.
They're pretty good.
Okay.
Yeah.
I need to try those.
So yeah, and I kind of had splits written down, and I was, from the get-go, I was slower than someone on Instagram had said, "Oh, you can break 5 hours." I was like, "Oh, okay, I can, sure." Okay. And then from the get-go, I'm like, "Yeah, I'm not going to break 5 hours today."
5 hours would be monstrous.
So I was running, and I had a Garmin InReach spot tracker I'd got so that people could follow me online, for fun. It sent out a satellite signal every 10 minutes, I believe. But also so my wife could kind of see.
Did this not work out there? Your Garmin?
The Garmin does, but not so much for if you don't have, it doesn't work. I would have to carry my phone, and if there's no cell phone signal, I couldn't share that live track safety feature.
Yep.
That wouldn't work if there's no cell phone signal.
Got it.
Which there's not.
Yeah.
So this Garmin spot tracker is satellite based. So
cool.
You can send an SOS from anywhere in the world.
That's cool.
So, she saw that I was running behind schedule, which, it was just, I was slower than I expected, and I was still pacing well, but it was just consistently slower.
Like your first 10 miles, where were you at pace wise?
So the loop is I broke it into 5 segments, because the first 4.5 miles, you basically climb 2,000 feet. So you start and you go up, and then you go down for about 6.5 miles. So it's a 6.5 mile descent.
Pretty sharp? Is it pretty sharp descent?
Yeah, I mean, it's not super technical. It's just a long time. I think the biggest thing I underestimated was, we have some hilly routes around here.
Yeah.
But you can't run downhill for 50 minutes straight. We run down a steep hill, and then 2 minutes later we're on flat, and then we're going up. So there's kind of constant changing muscle group. So even if your total elevation change, I sort of underestimated the effect of just running downhill.
It's a quad complete blaster.
Yeah. Yeah,
your quads were destroyed.
Yeah, I was pretty toasted. By the end, the last 3 miles. So you do this 11-mile segment on these rolling hills, and that was the part that it was warmer. I forgot that side of the course is at a lower elevation and more exposed. So I was going through water a little faster than I anticipated, because it was getting up to about 80. I think my watch said 84 degrees.
Holy cow.
So it was a little warmer. I thought the high was going to be 70, but I think that was in the basin, which is in the mountains, in the shade kind of deal.
Yeah.
So I got to my wife at mile 22, and I was like, I'm okay. I'm just, moving a little slower, but still consistent. And she said, "Do you want the water?" And I was like, I still had some water left in my Camelback, and then I had an extra flask of 500 milliliters.
So you have like a Nathan, like a little vest?
Yep.
So did you have a Camel full?
So I had 2 liters of that, and then an extra flask with 500.
Okay, got it.
So I had 2.5 liters. So I said, okay, I've got, over 500 milliliters. I think that'll be enough for the last, whatever it was, 9 miles.
Yeah.
So I start mile 22. I start the last climb. So you go up 2,500 feet in 5 miles, I think. And the first 3 miles are just running up. You're literally running up a riverbed in loose rocks. Not super steep yet, but it's just constant. In like a half mile, I drained my Nathan bladder.
Oh no.
And so I went, okay, I've got
500
milliliters left. And and I'm getting really thirsty. It's hot now. And so I kind of had to start rationing water a little bit. The 2 miles of the climb, I walked pretty much straight, 16-minute miles. And my rule is, if the trail was going up steeply, I could walk. But if it flattened out or went downhill, then I had to run. That was a rule.
Yeah. And I like that rule.
So with maybe 10 or 15 minutes left, less than a mile from the top, I was pretty much out of water. And I said, well, okay, I don't really need water the last 3.5 miles because I'll be going downhill. It's already hard to drink. Yeah. I'm in the shade. My heart rate will be lower. It'll be more kind of muscular.
Yeah.
So I kind of did the last, all right,
this is it.
Last gel, last drop. And it worked
nuts,
out.
Mark.
But
That's
the last 20 minutes, I was a little I need, so I also went the last hour without calories. So my plan worked fine until I went an hour with 0 calories.
Yeah.
Because I ran out of water. So I couldn't really, my mouth was dry and stuff like that.
And it's hard to eat a waffle without any water.
Yeah.
Those
I don't want to choke
suck.
on a crumb and then be done.
Yeah. Those gels suck without water.
But I mean, that's part of the adventure. So
yeah.
It worked out perfect.
So you ended it, and what was your time?
5:28.
Are you
55.
kidding me?
So I snuck under. So the previous FKT had been 6:25.
So you beat it by an hour?
About almost an hour, yeah.
Dude, Mark, that's ridiculous.
It was harder than I thought, but
yeah.
You can definitely go faster if you do it supported.
Yeah.
Because I was carrying when I started maybe 9 pounds of water and food.
So, but you had no electrolytes? Did you
no,
have any?
I had well, I used precision hydration.
Okay, all right.
So I had 2,200. I do about 1,200 milligrams per liter of fluid.
Okay.
So I had 2,200 milligrams in my
of sodium
in my pack with 2 liters, and I was taking salt tablets.
Salt tablets. Okay, got it. There's a science to this endurance game.
Yeah,
there's a major science.
Like I said, I enjoy the planning.
Yeah.
So yeah, everything's pretty calculated, pretty tested.
I figured out. Congratulations, by the way. That's a big deal, man. That's awesome. I have been off. I did the CBC did a fast, and so I've been off social media for literally 3 weeks. I haven't looked at any social media. I think it's going on 4 this weekend. So I didn't get a chance to see it. So I'm sure you probably had it all on there.
Yeah, I posted a couple things.
But this is the thing. This my ride this weekend, I did 83 miles, and I went back and calculated how much sodium I took because the last big ride I did 88 miles on Zwift. I cramped up nobody.
Yeah, we talked about that.
It was brutal. But this time, no cramp, no nothing, ran afterwards. I was fine.
That's great.
And so, there's a science to this. I mean, so now that you've done that, did that spark any other crazy adventure runs?
No, like I said, I mean, I enjoy running fast.
Okay.
So I like the trail running, but I still, I like the idea that I can be faster. Yeah. I'm a faster runner than I was in college, which is kind of cool. So,
you're faster now than college.
Yeah.
Get out.
Yeah. Yeah.
Wow.
So I'm trying to run, I'm doing the Woodlands half. I haven't done a lot of pure
I'll be
running.
There.
Oh, are you doing the half?
I'm going.
Oh,
yeah.
right on.
March 6th.
March 6th. Yeah.
Yes, sir. Signed up.
We'll be there.
I want to do the half there.
Sweet. Yeah.
I'm trying to, I've broken 2 hours once. Okay. And so I want to try to do it again.
I bet you'll be surprised at how much,
faster.
Just training more, how much more aerobically fit you are. Makes a big difference.
Yeah, I just hope, I've just found out this cold has slowed me down. This morning, the way that's cold air.
Really?
I don't know what it is about the cold. If it's 40, in that 40 range, I'm my legs feel like bricks.
Are you wearing tights?
Yeah.
Huh.
Should I not wear tights?
No, you definitely.
Yeah, I'm wearing the leggings. Yeah. I'm bundled. I got the sweatshirt on, but the cold weather I ran the other day and I was doing 8s, and it was 61 degrees. It was 1 o'clock. I was running 8.
Our groups, we love
8:30.
We love the cold. If it gets above 60, my running groups start complaining.
Do they?
So we love the winter down here. We're 45. Let's go.
Yeah, I don't mind it. It doesn't bother me, but I just don't feel like I can go as fast. It's harder to get my heart rate up. That's the weird thing. It's a little bit
you're
more,
not overheating, so your heart rate will stay lower. That's
which is good.
It's good.
Yeah, it's a good thing. So you're doing the half marathon. What's your goal there? What are you trying to shoot for?
I think I can run in the 112s.
112.
We'll see.
Gabe, you realize how ridiculous that is? 112 is insane. What is that per mile? What is that? 5s, 6s?
5:30.
5:30,
somewhere around
That's
there.
stinking awesome.
We'll
Now,
see.
let's talk shoes, because everybody that I talk to,
Okay.
you're a runner, I'm a runner. I just got my new shoes. I'm really excited. I'm breaking them in. My Glycerin 18s.
They're not ultras, so that's good.
Yeah. What's ultras? What's that?
I shouldn't. They're a zero drop shoe brand.
Oh, really?
So I'm not a huge.
Oh no,
proponent of
God,
the
no!
zero
I
drop.
couldn't do a zero drop. I did the Hokas. Hokas are a zero drop,
Okay.
and it destroyed my Achilles tendon.
Yeah.
So for all of you out there, if they tell you to get the Hokas or whatever,
Depends
just-
on the. I run
that-
in Hokas.
that
Some of
hurt
them are
me.
good.
Do you? But you don't have the zero drop Hokas.
No.
Yeah, okay.
I actually look for more drop. I'll actually prefer ask if a shoe has too little drop. I'll
Yeah.
get a different shoe. 'Cause
Okay.
my Achilles and heel and plantar fasciitis don't do well
Right.
with low drop.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It destroyed me. Like I had to go to. I've been Brooks pretty much all the time. So
Okay.
somebody, they're brand new to running. What do you tell them in terms of, like, my buddy Gabe over here? I've been trying to talk Gabe into getting some stinking shoes, okay? And so we need to help this guy out. He needs shoes. He likes to run, like, every once in a while, right, Gabe? Every once in a while.
Yep.
So what do you tell somebody that's just starting out, shoe game? Go.
Well, kind of like bikes or like cars. People ask, "What's the best shoe brand?"
Right.
Well,
it depends.
There's not a best brand,
Right.
right? There's a lot of,
unless you go to Rock and Roll. If you go to Rock and Roll Marathon, they have the best brand. Brooks is massive. Have you done a Rock and Roll recently?
Is Brooks? The last couple of years they've been.
Yeah,
the main,
they're the
yeah.
head sponsor.
Yeah.
But go ahead. I'm sorry.
Yeah. So I mean, the main thing is it needs to fit your foot, right?
Yeah.
And you need some cushion.
Yeah.
We're running on concrete most of the time, so we need cushion from the concrete.
Yeah.
So I would go to a running store. Fleet Feet, my boy Evan Landez.
There you go. Shout out.
Store
Yes.
manager at the quarry.
Yeah.
Evan started triathlon with me at UTSA. Taught him to swim.
No way.
And now, like 6 years later, he's still racing, and now he's store manager. So
that's awesome. What's his name again?
Evan Landez.
All right, Evan.
Yeah.
I might have to come see you, Evan.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's cool.
But go to a running store. Have them fit you.
Okay.
Some people need. You're always best starting with just a neutral shoe with cushioning.
Okay. Neutral.
Yeah. I mean, some people need some motion correction, but I would say let the running professional tell you that.
Gotcha.
Just get a good solid shoe that fits and has cushioning, and don't overthink it. I would say.
Yeah.
But go to someone who can fit you on a good pair of shoes for sure.
I have a great running shoe story. So I'd been running for a while, and a good buddy of mine, I don't want to mention his name, but he's like, we were running one day, and he says, I've got the best shoe in the game. This is the best running shoe. He had the Adidas Ultra Boost. And I said, listen, man, we're buddies, but you're going to have to get new shoes. That's not a running shoe. For everybody out there running an Ultra Boost, trust me, that's not a good running shoe.
I mean, again, it's like cars or bikes. Everyone thinks, whatever they prefer is the best. That's true.
Well, he ran
right.
and he ran with us for 4 miles. The next day, he never wore those shoes
That's
again.
funny.
Because they tore up his feet. Because after a while that sock type shoe is really starts to wear out. Your foot starts slipping.
Yeah.
And so I said, look, it didn't matter, but get something other than that, because that's not going to be a great running shoe for if you're putting on miles. And we were putting on 100 mile, 120 mile months.
Yeah.
I mean, that's not going to be a shoe that you're going to. How often do you tell your athletes to replace shoes?
Yeah, definitely in the like 300 to 400 mile range.
Yeah.
What I do, or I try to tell them to do, is if possible, rotate them.
Yeah, that's what I do.
So if you're running every day, give them at least 48 hours to let the foam expand. If you're running 3-4 days a week, you may not need to do that.
Yeah.
But otherwise, you can usually tell when the cushion starts going away.
Yeah.
That you're just not getting, your joints start aching.
Well, it's stinking your knees, man. I feel it in my knees big time. Yeah. So just to wrap this up, what would you say is, I would imagine you're the person that calls you that's like, you know what? I've always thought about doing a triathlon, and it may not be a triathlon. You may want to train them for a marathon. You have it open. Paragon is open for someone that wants to do something probably beyond. I mean, maybe it's a 5K. I don't know. How do you open that up to athletes?
Yeah, I mean, we have it set. My goal is to provide resources for athletes. right? Whatever level that is. Everyone has different needs, different budget, that kind of thing. So that's kind of the pitch, or what I tell people is, I love the sport, right? I've been doing it my whole life, made a career out of it. I'm fortunate to be able to do that every day. So my goal is to help athletes, achieve their goals, to get faster. We say suffer faster. It's kind of our slogan.
Yes.
Because it never feels good. You just go faster. That's what they say.
Right.
And so we kind of just have it set up if people want to join the team. We have a bunch of sponsored discounts. They can be on our Facebook group and ask questions and get together for, training outside. We do some team rides. We do a show, we call it the Suffer Faster Show, where we'll have a sponsor come on and talk about their product or kind of educate the athlete. So there's some Zwift rides, it's kind of whatever they want to take advantage of. Or they can then also join some of our training groups, or purchase a training plan, or hire a coach. And it's kind of however involved you want to, or ultimately, you're in charge of your own, even if an athlete's coaching, I'm not their boss. Like, I actually work for them.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So, they're ultimately the ones in charge of their own athletic journey, and however we can help, that's our goal. Like I said, you're never too slow to want to get faster. So we'd love to help you get faster. It feels good. Get faster.
So do you, like, if someone said, I've never run a marathon, but I want to run a marathon, can you help me with that? You could walk them through that journey and train them from start to finish.
Yeah. 100%.
That's cool.
Yeah.
There's a lot of people that would want that. It's
gonna be hard. It's gonna be hard.
It's good. See, remind them. Tell them it's gonna be really hard. It's not just
gonna happen,
right? Because they got to put in the work.
Yeah,
they got to put in the work. But I think though there's a point to this. Like when I went on my journey, my dad was a runner. He loved my dad. They loved to run, and so he and my mom, my stepmom, they ran their first. The Honolulu Marathon.
Oh, that's cool.
A week before I got married. This was 21 years ago. So that was for me, oh man, well, I got to run a marathon. Yeah. And so when I went on my journey, I was running and just kind of trying to figure it out. But, having someone that can walk you through from beginning to end, and then there's the group activity, right? It's hey, let's talk through some of these workouts that you've been doing. And then Training Peaks, when I saw that, and I was when you and I were able to kind of walk through that, and you were able to show me a few things, the amount of statistics that you can get is amazing.
Yeah.
And you can see the gains.
Yeah.
And I think it's a cool thing.
I think that's where either having Training Peaks or having a plan, or, if having a coach is what you want, we talk about consistency, and, that consistency is really measured in years.
Yeah.
And so if you look over your progression in sport over years and years and years, what is going to help you? That's not being consistent for a month and training super hard. It's better to undertrain a little bit your entire lifetime.
Yeah.
Right. And a lot of people, I think, want to jump in and do a marathon or do an Ironman, things like that. Which is great, and there's a lot of people, it really is a empowering feeling, to push, but also training for an Ironman is not sustainable year round.
No.
After you do this Houston race, you're going to need a break.
Yeah.
Right. But the goal is that you take a few weeks off, and then you start exercising 4, 5, 6 hours a week, because it's what you do.
Right.
And I think often, we see people who kind of come into the sport and then leave because they want to have that finisher medal and do an Ironman, which again, it's a cool feeling, crossing the finish line of an Ironman feels really good.
Yeah.
But you also want to enjoy the day-to-day of training. And I've really been able to see that it doesn't really matter, how many kids you have, what your job is. I see athletes that some just decide, hey, I want this to be part of my life.
Mm-hmm.
And others, it's not as much a priority. And that's okay. I think it's just important to recognize, that if you say you want to work out 4 days a week, well, that means it's going to have to be a higher priority than maybe other things in your life. And it shouldn't come at the sacrifice of family or job. It might come at the sacrifice of an early morning every now and then, things like that. But it's possible, and that's why I say, I am definitely inspired and impressed by the athletes I work with, because I see them that lead busy, stressful, you know, very successful lives, and there's ebb and flow, but they enjoy training.
Yeah.
You know, and they like that grind, if you want to use that
it's
word.
A grind.
And you know, I think if you enjoy that, so like I said, it actually inspires me a lot, why I, you know, want to continue for myself pursuing athletics, because if I have these athletes that have kids and busy lives and they're training hard, like what right do I have to say, oh, I'm too busy to work out? Like,
right.
No, that doesn't fly. Like I want to lead by example.
Yeah.
You know, kind of
100%.
So, yeah.
So last question, and we'll wrap up. I always ask people, you know, the books change people's lives, right? There have been books out there that have just been like game changers. One of the books for me that was a big inspiration with David Goggins' book, you know, Can't Hurt Me. I don't know if you've read that one.
I have not.
But powerful book. Like the first few chapters are like, and I've actually given this book as a gift to people that are wanting to kind of push to like figure out what they're capable of. And I say, look, read this book. What is a book that you've read that you give away kind of like you've got to read this book? It's really helped me.
There's a few probably. One of my goals is to read more.
Okay.
For sure. So I used to read a lot, but just kind of got out of practice. I do like one. It's called Elite Minds. Oh. It's kind of it's sort of sports psychology, but also business.
Okay.
And that one's really good. I've given that one away a few times. Okay. I remember when I was young, the one that I really enjoyed was Ultra Marathon Man. Dean Karnazes.
You're the second person that told me about that book. Yes. Ultra Marathon Man.
Yeah. I think that was his first book. So it's actually fairly old now.
Okay.
But just, you know, the story of him kind of midlife crisis, and he just starts running in his underwear and, you know, basically doesn't stop for 30 miles one night and calls his wife to come pick him up. And
oh my gosh.
You know, and then became obviously a incredible athlete, you know, which he always had in him. He just, that one was, you know, it makes you want to go start running at midnight.
I love it.
Sure.
I'm going to have to read that one.
Yeah, it's good. It's a good story.
That's awesome. Yeah. So Mark, if somebody wants to work with you, what's the best way to get in touch with you, to work with the Paragon team and your coaches and you?
Our website.
Okay.
ParagonTraining.org.
Okay.
There's a contact form, or, you know, my email is mark@ParagonTraining.org.
Cool. Phone number? Is there a phone number that you use, or is it your website is the best?
It's more email.
Email.
I mean,
cool.
I'll like my athletes and stuff, I text and stuff a lot, but
awesome.
We don't have like a real business number.
No, that's okay.
Per se.
Yeah. They'll hit you up on the website. Listen, I want to thank you for, number one, helping me figure out the swimming. Yeah. Because I would not be in a good place. But I also want to thank you for the continued kind of looking at my training peaks, kind of helping me through that. Yeah. But, and congratulations on your marriage, dude. You just got married last year. Fall. During COVID.
Yep.
That was fun.
We did it.
That's awesome. Well, thank you for being on TM3 Impact. Look forward to seeing you. I would imagine. Are you going to go in April? Are you going to be there? Do you have any athletes?
I don't know if I'll be at Texas.
Okay.
We don't have, for some reason, all our athletes tend to race other parts of the country.
Yeah.
But we'll see each other in the Woodlands.
We'll see each other in the Woodlands, man. Good luck on that. And thanks again for being a part of TM3 Impact, buddy.
Thanks.
Take care.
Bye.